FPLA Junior. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Long time no chat. FPLA Plus here, and it's been a bumper ride the past few weeks. But before we talk about our strategy, please don't forget to smash the subscribe button, put on notifications, and also follow us on Twitter. We've got a new handle, a last handle. There were some technical issues with Twitter, so we've created a new one. It's FPL_A+. Please follow us on Twitter. We're trying to rebuild our followers, and hopefully you'll be enjoying this video. So sit back, relax, and let's talk strategy. Okay, so firstly, this is where we stand with game week 21, which was supposed to be a game week with a couple of double game week players, but as you can see, we've got three games left. One of them, which is a possibility of possibly being postponed, that's the Leicester-Everton game, but I'm not convinced that the Premier League are going to give into that request, but we'll see. So far 43 points, overall rank of 123,000. That's a small green arrow from 106,000. So the double game week players haven't really paid off, and as you can see, no one really that's really done the business here. Most of the scorers have been players that are not prominent players. So if you've got a red arrow, don't be despaired. You're in the boat with so many millions of other top managers that are also not seeing the value in the players for this game week. But remember, it's not a sprint, FPL, it's a marathon. We've still got another 17 game weeks at least, or 16 plus game weeks left. In addition to double game weeks, we've got a lot of you might have many of your, if not all, your chips remaining. So there's lots of opportunities ahead. And as many people like to mention on FPL, chaos is a ladder. It's how you deal with the chaos that matters. While everybody is panicking and stressing, if you can contain yourself and play your normal strategy and adapt it accordingly, you can get massive success. Okay, so just one last thing. As most of you aware, Son is actually out of many people's teams. Well, it's not likely, but many people will be transferring out because he's out for at least about 4 weeks, I believe, with a muscle injury. So this puts another spin on many FPL managers' teams. So firstly, let's just confirm the double game week 22 matches. These are as at today, which is while the FA Cup round of matches are taking place and is before any other postponements or any other COVID issues, etc. So who stands out here? Firstly, Brentford, not really. Brentford's games are quite tough, so I wouldn't go near their players. Brighton, I wouldn't be jumping at bringing in Brighton players, but their first game, you know, there could be a possibility of a clean sheet. The second game, probably less likely, but Brighton can put up a fight, so I think that game is quite key. So players there that you could look at is Cucurella, Lamptey. Not so sure he'll be playing both games, but his minutes will probably be managed, so you could consider him. He's a nice differential. There's Sanchez, the goalkeeper, except there's probably some other goalkeepers like the year that's probably maybe a better option. And then there's also Trossard that you could also bring in if you're looking for an attacker. Burnley, I won't really bring in any Burnley players. That they haven't been in very good form. FPLA Plus, Junior?
Not at all.
Okay, so definitely no Burnley players. And then Chelsea, a lot of FPL managers are removing the Chelsea players. Yeah, you might have a player or two that you've got in your team. So not the best of fixtures. Tough one against Man City. Brighton also can be solid defensively. But rather interestingly, Chelsea have won the last 6 out of the 10 matches against Manchester City. Are you surprised with that result, FPLA Plus Junior?
Yes, I am.
Most people would have thought Manchester City would have a better result history against Chelsea, but it shows Chelsea can be quite solid. And I think it depends on the style of play. And they've got a brilliant world-class coach.
Yes, they do.
Tuchel is a mastermind tactician, so who knows? You'll be relishing the opportunity to play against Pep. And yeah, it could be a 0-0, it could be a 1-0, or Man City could actually come up and have a brilliant game. So don't rule out bringing in Chelsea players or holding on to Chelsea players, shall I rather say. I won't say necessarily bringing them in because they've got blanks. And then Leicester. So Leicester have got Vardy out. Daka is due for a return shortly. And they've also got a player that's at the African Cup of Nations, Iheanacho. So their forward line is actually not very filled with resources at the moment. So you could get probably less chances that's in front of goal, but it's also opportunities for players such as Harvey Barnes. Madison is on many people's radar. There's Ademola Lookman, who's also looked quite good and quite impressive. And then some people might also want to bring in Tielemans. He's also been quite a solid performer on his day. Okay, and then Man United, they probably got one of the better fixtures here, double fixtures, Aston Villa and Brentford. However, the first fixture, I'm not that convinced is going to be that easy. We've got Steven Gerrard that's back.
Yeah.
He's been very impressive. They've already made a signing. They're bringing in Philippe Coutinho.
Yeah.
And Coutinho's hasn't had a very good stint at Barcelona. So
Yes,
I think,
I agree.
yes, he's actually compared to when he was with Liverpool, when he was a massive player. I think he will definitely want to up his performance at Aston Villa to show,
Yes.
especially the Brazilian coach, that
Certainly.
that he's very able to deliver world-class performances again. The Brentford fixture is probably be one that you would expect Man United to win, but the way Man United have been playing currently, it seems like there is a bit of a disconnect. They're not gelling together properly.
Yes.
On paper, they've got a brilliant team.
Yes.
They've got a great coach.
Brilliant, yes.
They just need to be able to put that together and fire on all cylinders. They need to bring their A team and they need to play together as a team. Currently, it seems like they're playing together as individuals. They're not collectively playing together. But with those two fixtures, there is possibilities.
Yes.
So they would be definitely players I'd be looking at bringing in. Then we've got Spurs. So many people would have been shocked and disappointed when the news came out about Heung-min Son that's going to be injured long-term for about 4 weeks. The match against Arsenal and Leicester would have probably been something that he could have definitely scored some points. And many people would have even been looking at bringing in Kane or doubling up and having Kane and Son. It makes Kane a bit less appealing, especially at his price range. So who is going to be supplying Kane then with the chances to score? There could be Lucas Moura that could, on his day, Lucas Moura can be quite good, like he showed in the Champions League a few years ago, but he's not in the same quality as Heung-min Son.
No, it isn't.
So I'll be very tentative at the price. At the price point, he's not bad, but not someone that I'd necessarily actually want to bring in. Okay, and then we've got Watford. Their fixtures on paper are probably the best. Many people wanting to bring in, if you don't have Emmanuel Dennis and Josh King, also quite a good shot. Emmanuel Dennis probably just pipping him currently. He's playing centrally. And then Watford's defense hasn't been too strong, but I won't be surprised if there's a clean sheet in one of these two matches. I think Ranieri will be definitely focusing on defense. So, for a punt, a Watford defender, it can go either way. So it would be taking a massive risk. I've got to warn you, but a Watford defender, not a bad shout. But yeah, I definitely won't be going there myself. And then Spurs, sorry, just to get back at Spurs, the other option that people could be bringing is a defender such as Davies or Reguilon. Reguilon's been rested today in the FA Cup. And then, yeah, there's Royale also, except I think he's not necessarily hit the form in terms of his crosses that many people would have liked. So yeah, so that's the double game week fixtures. So let's just look at some stats. Let's go to, this is basically, we'll get on live FPL.net, and this is the effective ownership as at the last game week. And as you can see, many players here that you won't really be surprised with. Bowen, Antonio, right on top, and that's obviously because of the double game week. Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, seasoned performers, you definitely won't want to drop them, even if they've got a single game week. Similarly, Jota, Son as well, except Son is now injured, so that's a pity. Then De Gea, double game week also coming up. His price was also quite favorable. Mo Salah, you know, the top player for this year, as well as quite a few years in a row. So not much to say about him. And then looking at the rest, Gray, okay, Watkins has been ruled out recently, and Ronaldo. So I can be quite happy to say that I'm owning every single one of these players that you see on the screen here. And then if we go to the next lot, Foden, yeah, you'd expect him quite a popular pick. It's just he was out recently. Then there's Reguilon, as I mentioned, as an option. Dennis, who's also quite a popular pick. Double game week as well, been on form. Sufal, who apparently is out of today's FA Cup match, and it's understood that he might have contracted COVID, so watch that space. And then there is Bernardo, Ramsdale, Calvin Lewin, and Dawson. So yeah, so I think those are, if you own the bulk of these players, you'll definitely be able to do quite well, because your risk is managed, and if you've got the odd differential or two that's not so highly owned, but they've got huge potential and they do well, even better. But try to get in as much of these players, especially on this page, as possible. This does change match by match, so keep in mind what the relevant fixtures are and who is actually bringing them in and who's on form. Okay, so now the next thing that we will be doing is focusing on the strategy. So this is the team that we currently have, okay, for game week 20. Let's go back. Sorry, this is game week 21, and game week 21 is still currently in the process of needing to be finished. And the team that we're looking at now is game week 22. So the player that we are contemplating transferring out, what do you think about this FPLA Junior? Taking out Son, who's injured, for Madison. Do you think it's a good move?
Yes, I do say so.
Yeah. And Madison is playing Burnley. And then if we just look at Leicester's fixtures, they're playing Burnley, Tottenham, and Brighton. So after that, there's a couple of tough fixtures, but he's got a double. And if the double goes ahead and he plays both, you could score massively.
Yes.
Okay. Then other double game week players we've got is Dennis. We've got Ronaldo, so that's 3. We've got Dallo, that's 4, potentially if he plays both. 5, De Gea. Most likely he'll play both. And then we've got players that you can't really drop. Alexander-Arnold, Jota, Bowen, Antonio, those are kind of, and Cancelo, those are kind of undroppable players. Okay. On the bench, we've got Gray, who can come on if you've got someone that doesn't feature, and we've got Smith Rowe and Livramento. So if there are any COVID scares or any injuries, then Gray is quite good. He's playing Norwich. Smith Rowe, maybe not the best currently because he's coming off the bench.
Yes.
Okay. So effectively, yeah, 5 double game week players. You could choose to play your free hit. If you had to play your free hit, who else would you bring in? You could probably bring in another Watford player potentially. You could bring in another Spurs player. But tough fixtures. You could bring in, who else is there? You could bring in another Leicester player. I think which is probably your best bet. So question is your team really going to benefit that much from a free hit this game week? I'm not saying don't play a free hit. It's dependent on your team. Your team could be in shambles and a free hit could be better for you. It's team specific, but in my specific case, to bring in another 1 or 2 players just to use my free hit, it's going to be a bit of a waste.
Yes.
Do you agree, FPLA Plus Junior? Are you playing your free hit this week?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so you're probably saving it for the future blank game week 27 or 30.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is game week 22, the plan. Then if we have a look at game week 23, the transfer that we plan here is we had Livramento, Southampton, that was playing against Manchester City. He's then got tough fixtures. So if you're looking at Manchester City, their fixtures look very good. So a good idea to bring in another Manchester City defender. So then we fill the weakness in our spot, in our team, with a strength. So a team that's got a weak run of matches against a team that's got a strong run of matches. Okay. So remember, everything that you do in Fantasy Premier League, it's relative to your team and relative to what's happening around you. Okay. So there's no perfect team. So long as you can score enough to match what's happening around you. Okay, so that's basically the move for that week, and then the captain is likely to be Dennis, while the other opportunities could also be Jota as well. So he's currently the vice captain. Okay, so on to the next game week. Okay, so what we'll be doing is there is a possible blank game week in 27. So we'll be trying to manage without using our free hit until that point, and see how well we can do, just to prove that you can actually week by week manage your team without actually taking hits galore or using chips just out of stress. Okay, so let's see, what do we have here? So here the transfer is okay, so after careful consideration and the fixtures that I showed you, Maddison was just in for 1 game week, and that was just because of the double game week. Okay, so Gray was an opportunity to transfer out, but Everton, if you look at their fixtures, Newcastle, Leeds, Southampton, those are very good fixtures versus Leicester's got Liverpool, West Ham, Wolves, Chelsea. So it kind of makes sense to rather let go of your Leicester that's got the tougher fixtures than your Everton player. And the replacement for Maddison was Salah. He's expected back in game week 24. However, keep in mind, these are only preliminary possible moves. Something could happen before that. Liverpool could blank, or Salah could be injured, or there could be COVID-related issues. That could change the plan. But assuming everything goes according to plan, Salah would possibly be captain. And this would be the team that would line up with a bench of Smith Rowe, Dallet, and Sufal. Okay, on to the next game week. Okay, so in the next game week, as you'll notice, first thing on top, there's a blank fixture, and that's Arsenal. Okay, so up to now, we've got, if we just have a look, we have, yeah, so Smith Rowe we had in our team. And then if you look at, if we need to replace Smith Rowe, because there's another Arsenal fixture 2 weeks later, that's also a blank. So we shouldn't be holding on to players that are blanking, because if you need a bench player with COVID, etc., it's not going to help you. So let's see, where do we have a team that's got a good round of fixtures? So we are full up on Liverpool, Man City, but Man City's players are a bit expensive. Okay, Man United, we've got the maximum already. Then we've got Leeds that their fixtures don't look too bad. They're not brilliant, but they're playing Everton, Man United, Spurs, Leicester, Norwich. And then how about Rafinha? So Rafinha is the proposed player. and that should give you a good first team. Possible captain Mo Salah, vice captain Ronaldo. And then we've got Dennis on the bench, Dallo and Sufal. Okay, so as you can see, that defense holds up well, and you can start them probably most matches. Laporte might be rested the odd match, so long as you've got a defender that can come on, and then that would be either Dallo or Sufal.
Yes.
Okay, so then let's move on to the next game week. So game week 26. Okay, so game week 26, what do we have? Let's see what's happening in game week 26. So game week 26, the plan is to roll the transfer. Okay, just look at the team. All the green fixtures and greys. So if you've got a brilliant team, why do you need to use your transfer? You agree, FPLA Junior?
Yes.
Whereas you might as well roll the transfer and then have 2 transfers the next week. Because remember, 2 free transfers, you can do much more. Because you can bring in a solid player and a player that you can put on your bench instead of bringing in an average player.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the plan. Captain Mo Salah against Norwich, vice captain Ronaldo against Leeds. But mind you, Ronaldo could also have quite a good game. Depends on how Leeds' form is versus Norwich. So closer to the time we can confirm. But I think Mo Salah probably will be the top captain pick in that game week. Okay, so now let's look at the next game week. Game week 27. So game week 27, the major theme of game week 27 is that we've got a massive blank here for top players, and that is because Liverpool, we've got 3 players, Mo Salah, Alexander-Arnold and Jota. So do we still want them in future? Most definitely, even though you'll see the fixtures are West Ham, Brighton, Man United, and then 2 game weeks later it's Man City. Mo Salah and Liverpool are capable of actually scoring against any team. So if you're going to transfer them out and in, you're going to be paying higher and selling it at a lower price. So it's a little bit of patience and strategy, but tactics could work out. So the plan here is you need to bring in 3 players for your bench players that you wanted to get rid of. And the bench players that you wanted to get rid of that you would have seen earlier was Dallo and Sufal. So the plan is, if you look at Davies and Livramento, let's look at Davies first. Spurs, their fixtures look quite good, the next 2. You could bench possibly in the ones thereafter, and then Newcastle and Aston Villa, not too bad. And then the other one was Southampton. I know you did take out, we did take out Livramento earlier, but that was because Livramento didn't have good fixtures. But have a look at this run, that looks quite good. Probably the best out of the lot here. Can't see anything else besides potentially maybe Chelsea. So Chelsea is the other option, but those costs, those assets cost a bit more. So for now, the plan is Livramento and Davies. Okay, assuming Davies is still nailed on by then. Okay, and that leaves still 0.5 in the bank. So we couldn't afford anybody else, but I think Davies could possibly be Royale as well. Okay, I think we could just about afford him.
Yep.
Okay, and then captain for this game week is Ronaldo with playing Watford, so that should hopefully be a popular captaincy pick. And vice captain Everton, Cancelo. I'm not a big fan of captaining defenders. I've tried it a few times and not really been that successful. Was one of those that captained Shane Duffy a few years ago, and we all know what happened there. But many people have had success, and if you choose the right moments, you never know. But it's not going to be this game week at least. Ronaldo looks like he'll probably wear my armband. And then on the bench, look at that bench. World-class bench, Salah, Alexander-Arnold and Jota. And that's because you need them for the next game week. Okay, so then just briefly, that takes you up to the blank game week. What does this mean then for game week 28? How does the team line up? If you are looking at following these moves, so then these players some players come back. So we've got some tough fixtures there for United and for Liverpool, but it is Liverpool. And then West Ham have also got some tough fixtures, so we're putting our West Ham assets on the bench. And then we are taking out, remember we had Gray, so Everton, their fixtures get a little bit tougher, so we've taken out Gray. And then if you just look at Arsenal fixtures look unbelievable. Replacing Gray with Martinelli, because that's all we can afford, and we've got 0.6 in the bank. Ideally, I probably would have liked to get in Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. He's been very consistent and quite in form recently, but unfortunately funds don't allow, so unless I had to downgrade elsewhere. But Martinelli's also been on fire and he's been starting. So if that continues, then I think Martinelli could be a good captaincy option against Watford. The only debatable point is who would be on the bench. Would you put Dennis on the bench, A+ Junior, or would you put on Antonio on the bench? Dennis is playing Arsenal and Antonio is playing Liverpool. So who do you think is actually the stronger one to put on the bench? Who would you put on the bench of the two?
That would be Antonio.
Antonio, okay. Yeah, because Antonio is playing Liverpool, and you are hoping that Liverpool keep a clean sheet because you've got Alexander-Arnold also.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, A+ Julia. Just double checking that my logic makes sense there, so thanks for that. And then we've got Livramento as well as Bowen. So that leads your team into Game Week 27. So hopefully this was quite helpful and giving you some guidance. None of these picks are perfect and ideal, and you'll probably find as we go from game week to game week, there will be something that will happen that will change these moves. You know, there might be a player that avoids, a player that gets injured, or a team that gets cancellation, but at least it gives you some structure and some plan how to strategize. And you can just tweak these if required. Okay, so livefpl.net, use the transfer planner there, quite good. And then next we go on to the FPLA Plus Super League. So onto the Super League. Number 1, we have got, I hope I'm pronouncing this correct, we've got Geo King Joel. Save your tears. Well done and congratulations to getting to number 1, setting up a healthy lead of 15 points. In second place, we've got Dollarbill Stern. So Dollarbill Stern, he's been quite prominent in the top position, and he's dropped to number 2, but still keeping it up there, 15 points. Dollar, you can make up, I'm sure. The top is looking quite good. And then we've got Skip Ing Son, who's in 3rd position. We've got Hartwig United, also quite prominent in the top, in 4th place. Then we've got Jordan Awokani in 5th place. We've got FPL Experts in 6th place. We've got Shack Attack United in 7th place. We've got Omandi Eliazar in 8th place. Obina Okoli in 9th place. And in 10th place, we've got Selo Mello. So well done, everybody. Those that are in the top 10, congratulations. Keep up the great work and hope you can go on to greater things. And who knows, maybe one of you can actually also maybe win the tournament overall, in the overall FPL tournament. That would be absolutely absurd. And those that are not in the top 10, just keep on going. You guys, the race is quite tight. It's still quite a many game weeks ahead, and I'm sure you can definitely give the top 10 a good run for their money. Okay, and then I thought I'd just mention another website that's actually quite brilliant, that you might be able to get some useful content. That's fplgameweek.com. You might notice many of these names here. This is the Content Creators League. There's quite a few other leagues, and you can actually see where you are in this league, as well as other leagues as well. There's many other features in here as well, and yeah, it's actually quite brilliant website to use. So try this website out, fplgameweek.com. Okay, so other than that, we then are basically, I think, concluding the content for today.
Hi guys, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and follow FPLA on Twitter.
Thank you very much, guys, and wishing you all the best for Game Week 22.